Part 2 of the Buzz Bubble with Rich Silverstein. Now back to our host, Kevin Kelly, on the Buzz Bubble.
Let's jump into the work. Doritios, Super Bowl. What's your take on Super Bowl and how powerful it is, and
Yeah, that's a good question. Super Bowl. When I first started, I went, come on. It's like, not when I first started, but somewhere long after 1984, I was like, oh, Super Bowl, it's so bogus, come on. Well, you can't ignore it. You cannot ignore it anymore. It's too big. The pebble that goes into the water is a Super Bowl spot. The ripples that come out of it are staggering. It just never ends. So one spot that costs $3 million, which you would think is ridiculous, which is ridiculous.
But maybe on a CPM basis, it's probably not so bad.
Unbelievable. No, you can't ignore it, and you have to do it.
Yeah.
So my take on the Super Bowl is you got to play.
Not only do you get the eyeballs, but people are paying attention. Like the commercials are coming on. They don't give a crap about the game.
But they're never good enough.
What?
They're never good enough. I always leave the Super Bowl going, I hate this business. Always.
Why?
I don't think they're good enough.
The spots.
I think, all right, you get hit in the nuts once, it's funny. 3 times, not funny. And it's a cliche, the cliche of what makes a Super Bowl spot. I think the meter thing is kind of bogus, but my God, you got to play in it.
Sure.
What else?
You guys played pretty well. You had some great spots.
They're not great.
You got coverage before the game. That's
Some
one of the
spots.
things.
How
did that happen? You had this. It was the Super Bowl postponed because Doritos commercial's not done. I don't know. It was on. See, if you don't even know about it, that's the kind of stuff.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff, like great advertising gets other attention that you don't even.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Top of the Dome is news of a super delay. Right. The NFL is putting the Super Bowl on hold to give Doritos more time to finish its commercial.
Very shocking. The league released a statement just today saying, quote, Doritos is one of the NFL's longtime partners, and a Super Bowl without one of their trademark commercials is unimaginable.
I would like, if we're going to play in the Super Bowl arena, I think we'd like to do our spots a little earlier. We tend to be, maybe everyone scrambles at the end.
Yeah.
You can't ignore it. The world loves advertising, I don't like advertising. I actually hate advertising. I've said that a lot of times. You would be surprised by that.
I would be surprised. I am surprised.
I'm not an advertising junkie. I don't read trades. I don't pay attention to advertising. I pay attention to everything else because I want to be soaked up by popular culture and news and movies and sports and theater and art, and then I'll do advertising.
People and the way they think and the psychology of that, does that intrigue you? Is that part of the allure of?
I don't study, what would I say, McKinsey type thinking where they want to do studies and look at people. I think we go from the gut, we go from the heart, and go from the mind. It's very human. And nothing's changed between Jeff and myself. I mean, as you will know, you've probably realized this, we're very different people, but we see the work very similarly. And it's that yin-yang of him being one way and me being another that has that's worked.
So let's jump ahead to that one, the you and Jeff thing. How does that work? And I go from agency to agency. All the agencies don't have a duo, but a lot of them have that. And I kind of call it the hippie straight guy thing, like the guy with the ponytail,
the hippie straight guy.
the buttoned up, yeah,
Nah.
And I asked him that last year. He goes, I don't know, and he's like, well, I got the ponytail. I guess I'm the hippie. And
all right, he's more of a hippie. I've always been amazingly practical.
Okay,
but then I think, art directors have to be practical. They're in early in the morning. Go in our office at 8 o'clock in the morning. This is the art directors. The writers come in at 10. It's never changed.
So that's the other side of it.
So
you came from the art side.
I have an art director personality. He has a writer personality.
Okay. Oh, and that's where you put together. Hal put you guys together as art and copy.
So he comes from the journalistic side. I come from the art direction from journalism.
Okay.
And so I went from Rolling Stone magazine to a city magazine. I found my way in advertising. I never wanted to do advertising. I was a graphic designer. And so he was a journalist. And that, when I say I hate advertising, I hate the approach. I don't hate advertising schools because actually that's where we're getting our people. But I didn't go to school.
But they're all not.
I didn't go to school for advertising. You know, I'm a student of design and popular culture.
Right. I guess go to the how you got in here. You know,
Yeah.
you don't like it, so how'd you end up here? So,
Yeah.
from the art side,
All right, I
how'd
went
you get into
to
that
Parsons
seat from
School of
there?
Design in New York. I wanted to be a designer. I was a mediocre designer. I've actually become a good designer. I was really mediocre. And I started to somehow grasp the advertising is more interesting than the design. And that was only because being an editorial, the ads would come in, you had to put them in the magazines. Well, that's kind of interesting. And I had to beg a couple of times to give me a 6-month trial in advertising agencies to get a job.
Still goes on.
And I wouldn't hire myself today when I look at my portfolio, by the way. It was pretty bad.
Now, is there a story behind that desk that goes back to that?
This desk, Parsons School of Design, every cut, every bleeding, every razor blade that slipped and hit my finger, here it is.
Still there.
It's never changed. I'm a traditionalist with 3 computers.
Yeah.
So, you know,
You get an idea, do you still grab a piece of paper and
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, my comping, bizarrely,
I resisted.
my comping is cut and paste. I mean, tape.
Yeah.
You know, everything is. I
resisted
still
it
do
for a long time.
a stupid sketch.
Yeah.
And I cut and paste, and I can do it faster than anybody on the computer. And then now what I do is I search for images on the, anywhere I find them, and then I print them out, design it quickly, then give it to people in the studio, and they kind of finesse it.
Right.
But
I resisted for a long time. I came from hardcore computer geek, digital side.
yeah. I'm not
And I
going to
would
talk
be-
about being anti-tech anymore. It's stupid. We're moving forward. I mean, look, we have
you used to talk
Adobe.
about anti-tech?
Well, I used to, but it's stupid. We have Adobe, we have HP, we have Netflix, we have Yahoo, we have.
They're not tech.
But the thing is, a lot of our clients are very much in the modern world, and you got to be in the modern world.
Yeah, no, I mean, I draw. If I used to think, oh, I'll open a PowerPoint or Word or Photoshop. No, just get an idea.
Where'd you go to school?
I'm a Berklee College of Music graduate. I came
that's great.
I came from the tech side. I was the guy that mixed records for a lot of years. You know, I was the guy behind the board.
No, that's fantastic.
And then the internet came along, and it was like, oh, another digital place to be creative.
Right.
So then I ended up.
Well, let's talk about the
ended up
internet.
here.
Where we've built an entire animation department here. I mean, a serious animation department that can compete with anybody. And it came from first doing some HP commercials where we wanted a little ending. And we had one person here doing that. That grew and grew.
Those spots are amazing.
Well, they're old now.
3D with the.
They're old. But that is so
cool.
years ago. But the internet has allowed us to take graphic design and move it, put animation, sound to it, edit it, and it's a great play area that we haven't been able to do before.
Right.
And so the internet is just wonderful. It's opened everyone's eyes in creative to do more things. And so the agency celebrates that by having editors and art directors and illustrators and animators and musicians and sound people all here.
Yeah.
We don't have to do everything here, but we would sure like to do it.
Yeah, I'm hearing more and more about people bringing in digital, bringing in editing, bringing in 3D, and just because you also bring the people in earlier too.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to believe it's art school, but we pay you.
Well, everybody's learning every day, I
no
think, in
dope
this
smoking.
business.
Not anymore.
Oh, okay, not
Those are
anymore.
the old days. I don't know. I didn't, but I know
Martinis
people.
and all
I've
that.
heard people did that.
Yeah, Jerry Delphine
Laughing.
talks about that.
Back there, they're laughing because they're still
Camera
doing
guys, yeah. Oh, well, I got to get your version of the birth that got milk. I'm sure you're just so tired of telling it, but everybody wants to hear.
it. It is a classic cliche story. We're pitching. We have everything we know what our strategy is, that the absence of milk is interesting. We knew that.
Did you have a tag at the time? Or not quite?
No, I think we talked a lot about the strategy of, somebody wrote a book and got famous, although it wasn't that way. He's a good guy, though. we talked about bowls of cereal, and you'd cut the bananas and the strawberries, and you'd put the sugar on, and then you go, you got nothing. And that was our idea, that you have nothing, that it was the absence of it. Because it was air, water. What are the things you take for granted? Air, water, milk. And good story, very quickly. Butler Shine, I live in Sausalito, they do Mini Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
Butler
love
Shine,
Mini Cooper. I'm a
something.
Mini owner, love them.
They left as soon as we started pitching milk and said, you guys are going to pitch milk? You can make something out of anything. I never forget when they wouldn't work on it. They thought, we don't want to work on milk.
So they were going to pitch and they just backed out and said no.
They went and started their own agency. It's fine, just a joke. Anyway, how did milk start? It came from the observation of the absence of milk made it something you cared about. It wasn't the 100-yard dash, where you ran, made you strong, you guzzled it, which is what hundreds, 10 years of advertising did.
Right.
And then, I'm not sure if it was going to the pitch or at the pitch, but I remember, this is cliche, Jeff writing it on a little piece of paper like a napkin, got milk, and with a question mark. And I went, that is dumb. That is really bad. But Jeff has a quirky way of talking, of writing, not talking. This is not quirky talking. And, it grew on you. And then and then we were working on it. And then the art directors and writers were making the first commercials, and they put the type in Helvetica really small, and they didn't voice it. And I saw the rough cut, and I said, you gotta say it. People aren't feeling it, and you got to put a logo to it. And they go, no, we want to keep it really quiet. And they rebelled against me. And Susie Barabee, who works as head of production, print production, and myself found that typeface. That looks good. Let's do that.
Well, it's cool because it's so small, but it's even even smaller.
But we wanted it to have a voice and an identity, and we wanted it to actually have an audio. Yeah. And that's when they voiced "Got Milk." But it's funny how things happen. The art directors and writers didn't want it because it was too obvious to say it. They didn't want to make a big deal of the words. And you got to sometimes go, no, that doesn't feel right. Because it's so easy when you're a creative director for them to say, no, that is just not cool. You hear it, you have to have the strength to go, no, you're not right.
And a lot of great ideas, once you hear them, are obvious. Oh, yeah, well,
yeah.
But you didn't think
Well, I think they thought we were selling too hard, sold out, whatever, but, the first spot was Michael Bay's spot with Aaron Burr. It was pretty damn great.
That's amazing.
But the punctuation of "Got Milk" and giving it an identity that it never had before seems so simple now, but it's important to build a brand. A brand has to have a voice and an identity, both audio and visually. So luckily, it worked out. But Jeff wrote the line. It's still clumsy. It's still stupid. But it works.
What's your favorite ripoff? Everybody in the world, my daughter goes to dance class, has got dance.
God porn is always the best, whatever. I don't know. There's so many.
There's everything.
And
such a tribute to it.
Well, you go down the street and you go, we should sue them. We should sue them. But it's not ours, it's the Milk's.
Right, nobody has time.
That's it for part 2 of the Buzz Bubble with Rich Silverstein. See what's coming up next week in part 3.
Integration is never easy. It's just not. Because you're asking the New York Giants to play ball with the Dallas Cowboys together to beat the Redskins?
Just give me your playbook for a few days. We got to work on this thing. And
because agencies have cultures. Yeah. And I love to say, we are ball teams.
Next week on the Buzz Bubble.